Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for. Let's get into today's episode. Okay, hello guys. Today I'm going to give you a quick little insight into how to identify some areas in your training you might want to put a bit of extra focus into. Now this is a super simple way of going about it, which doesn't involve you doing any testing, doesn't involve any professional knowledge or anything like that. But it should give most of you a pretty good insight into what you might be neglecting in your training and what you might want to put a little bit of focus on. Now, the core principle of this approach is do what you don't enjoy. Now, when I say that, I don't mean do what you hate. That's fine. If you hate something, you don't have to do it. But generally, there are certain types of activities and exercises which us as individuals are drawn to. We enjoy doing it, we do it quite a bit, we get better at it, and we keep on getting better at it. But there's certain areas of exercises and activities which we might not be so good naturally and at first. We might give it a go once or twice, it might not be so much fun, and then we sort of put it aside. We're like, we don't really need that, and we neglect it. And we neglect it, and then it becomes this massive blind spot in our training. Now, a typical example of this, just to sort of give you an idea what I'm talking about, is people who are naturally flexible. So whether you've grown up, doing dancing or ballet, whether you've just got naturally relatively mobile joints or whatever it may be. Now, typically they will trend towards doing things that require high mobility. And a typical one of this is yoga classes. You'll go into yoga. This is a common thing I hear. I'll have a client and they'll be like, hey man, I went into a yoga class first time. Everyone around me was so flexible. I could barely hold any of the poses. It felt terrible, so I'm not going to go back. And basically I always tell them, I'm like, look, number one, those guys have been doing yoga for many years and it took a while to get to that point. And number two, a lot of the guys doing that, they're all naturally flexible anyway, in the sense that getting to those positions, that's not a massive challenge for them. But for you, who struggles in those positions and who really can't get to there, that's a sign that you're going to get some really good benefit out of this particular type of training, because your body needs it and you don't want to go down that path of just avoiding it because you're no good at it. So that's a typical example. On the other side of things is people who are typically strong, might have come out of rugby, might have come out of, some type of physical sport, might be, have a physical job or whatever it may be, who are just typically strong. They trend towards strength training because they're naturally strong. They like to get stronger. They're working on that strength, and they'll neglect other areas and they might need more mobility, but they just don't do it because they don't enjoy it. Now, for me personally, I love strength work. I've done it for many years. But I don't particularly enjoy long duration cardio aside from the hiking. So I might go out and, hike once a week or every couple of weeks or whatever I'm doing at that time in my life. But, you won't see me going for a run around a local park, and you won't really see me sitting on a bike for a long period of time. Like, I don't typically enjoy that, but I very much know that's a limitation in my training. So when I am training for something in particular, if I have a hike coming up, if I'm trying to improve my fitness, whatever it may be, I know I can't just gravitate towards what I enjoy. I need to put focus on in what I don't enjoy as well. That used to be me for mobility as well. I used to hate stretching, and I got to a really bad point where my mobility was very bad, when I was in my early 20s. And I used to hate it, and it really did take a lot of effort for me to focus on it, to put it into my training and actually make a change there. So what I'm trying to get at is we'll all have certain types of training that we gravitate towards because we're good at it, because we enjoy it, and because we can see some progress on it pretty quickly. However, have a think about it today. Are there any areas of your training which you're neglecting, which you particularly don't enjoy, and because of that, and it is particularly hard, and because of that, you're just not doing? Now, this might be your core training. You might hate that. This might be mobility work. This might be lower body strength or upper body strength. This might be long duration cardio. This might be higher intensity cardio. It can be literally anything. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. And some people everyone's going to gravitate towards different things. But have a serious think today. Hop off this podcast, have a think. What are you neglecting? And what can you commit yourself to for the next 4 weeks to have a crack at trying to change that over? In my situation, I might say, okay, for the next 4 weeks, every single week I'm going to do one long duration cardio session. And by the end of those 4 weeks, more than likely, I'm going to be feeling much better. It's going to be feeling much easier. I'm going to enjoy it much more, and it's going to be a lot easier to continue on. For you, it might be committing to doing 1 or 2 strength sessions a week, or maybe doing, one mobility session or a 15-minute stretch, or doing a yoga class each week, or whatever it is. What can you commit to for the next 4 weeks of something that you don't particularly enjoy? And see if you can stick with it for 4 weeks and see if things do change. Because I can tell you right now, this is such a simple way of identifying blind spots in your training. You don't need me standing over your shoulder. You don't need a professional guidance. You can just go through this process, and more than likely, you'll be able to figure it out for yourself. So have a think, suss it out, and see how you go. Now, if you have enjoyed today's episode and you were wanting a little bit extra insight into a little bit what I talked about, or maybe you're wanting some ideas on how to particularly train these weaknesses or blind spots which you may have identified, I would absolutely love to see you in the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group. Now, in that group, I'm always happy to answer any questions you might have about these episodes or about your training in general. And if you are interested in learning a little bit more, I would absolutely love to see you there. It's completely free. I'll leave the link in the show notes below. It's the Training for Hiking and Trekking Facebook group. So thank you so much for listening today, guys. I do hope you got a little bit out of this, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye.